Now, if you could call the meeting to order, please.
It's 4 o'clock. I'd like to call this meeting to order.
Thank you very much. I wanted to note we do have a quorum with all 7 directors here. We did post the meeting outside of the office 1 week ago at noon. At that time, right now, we'll stand for Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
These the guys on the lake committee?
Pardon me?
Are these the lake committee guys?
No, these are guys from the fishing club that helped build it.
Oh.
I don't know when we did this back in July or something.
All right, at this time, the board will consider the approval of the board of directors minutes from November 3rd, 2025. Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Renee makes a motion, seconded by Jody. Discussion points on the minutes. Hearing no discussion, all those in favor? Passes unanimously. Thank you very much. We'll pause right here. I do want to thank everyone who did come out today with the date change and things like that. We really appreciate the folks in the audience and those that are online. How many do we have online, Mark?
17 online.
17. All right. Good. All right. Next item up for consideration. Computer works. Resolution to submit for an owner's vote both the rollover to 2026 of any surplus of 2025 operating funds and changes to the CC&Rs. Can I have a motion to approve the resolution? Can I have a motion for the resolution?
Sure.
Tom makes a motion. And a second?
I'll second.
John, any discussion on this resolution? For those in the audience, I will give just a little bit of a background that at this meeting, the board of directors, it's forecasted in 2025, we'll have about $144,000 rollover. Each year they have to vote to either roll the funds over or to send the funds back to the owners. Typically, cutting checks for everyone is in the realm of about $10,000. So in the past 5 years, the board has voted to roll over all the funds, or even before that, perhaps. But hearing no further discussion, all those in favor of this resolution?
Aye.
And the resolution carries unanimously. Thank you very much. Tom, I'll present the resolution for you.
Scott, can I just ask a question for the
Yeah.
folks here? You do said that there are changes to the CC&Rs. Do we know when we're going to present those to the homeowners?
We do. Typically, that will be after the first of the year. We typically do, I think it's a town hall type scenario, and in board meetings, we cover or kind of recover that. So we'll be able to do that. Mike or Mark, can you go back and turn the volume down on my mic? Thank you.
And just, we have. I'm off, so. I think that's good. And Tom, is it 3 resolutions, 3 changes to CC&R? 5? Okay. 5 with the rollover, or is it 5 plus the rollover?
5.
1 roll, okay. And we will be doing, we'll get that out to the board in advance for people, and if necessary, we'll hold a small reviews of 2 or 3 people at a time to make sure everyone understands before we go into it.
All right. Next up, we have another resolution. This is a resolution of the board of directors. A resolution of the board of directors approving the deposit and investment of funding. Give us 1 second as we have technical difficulties. All right, thank you for the pause. I believe a resolution for the Board of Directors approving the deposit and investment of funds. This is done each year. Do I have a motion to approve the resolution? Jerry makes a motion. Renee seconds. Discussions on this motion? Just to give you a little bit of a background, this is done each year to confirm the action of prior Board of Directors who established depositories and to authorize the deposit of association funds in such accounts as may be selected by the Board of Directors, including without limitation checking and savings accounts in one or more banks, certificates of deposits, U.S. Treasury bills, and/or money market accounts with an investment firm or firms. Seeing no further discussion, all those in favor? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you very much. Tom, I'm going to hand these to you if you could sign them. All right. Mark, do you want to lead this discussion about the fish cubes?
Solitude completed their lake study here back in January, and they make two big recommendations to improve the health of the lake and the fishing here. And that was to remove approximately 3,000 fish. And to date, about 600 or 700 fish have been removed. And we expect to remove pretty close to that number this year through fishing tournaments. But their other recommendation was that we build some fish attracting structure. And this is a sample of the unit that we built back this summer. Dr. Tom helped out on this. It's constructed of 1.5-inch PVC tubing and corrugated drainage tile. It will be sunk in water not less than 15 feet, so it doesn't provide any obstructions for boating or anything like that. The Corey CDD requested that we indemnify them, just in case something happens. So in the packet is a resolution of the board and a letter that Tom will sign, and we will provide to the CDD. So I'd like to make a motion that we approve the resolution and the letter as it.
At a time, please.
Okay, I would like to make a motion that we approve the resolution for the fish attracting structure that appears in the packet.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Pam makes a second. Is there discussions on this motion?
One question, what's the height of this structure?
It's about 3.5 feet.
So it is not 15 feet.
No. In 15, we want, at least 8 feet above it when we have low water here come June. So it doesn't obstruct anything.
So just for clarity, right now we're voting on the letter, not the resolution.
All right. That's fine.
Okay, for the minutes.
Okay.
We're voting on the
Letter.
I would think we'd vote on the resolution first because the resolution.
I just need to be clear for the minutes.
Okay. Well, let's make it the resolution because I would think that should occur first.
Hearing no further discussion on the resolution, all those in favor? Motion carries unanimously.
Okay, I'd like to make a motion to approve the letter as it appears in the packet today that will be provided the Corey CDD.
Thank you, Mark. Do we have a second?
Second.
Jody makes a second. Further discussion on the letter that's included in everyone's packets. Seeing no further discussion, all those in favor? Motion carries. Mark, thank you for your efforts on getting this passed. You spent a lot of extra time and work. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next, we have approval of the updated sports courts rules. I think Tom Heaslip will lead us in the.
I apologize, this was not in the board pack. This was actually recognized recently, gone through the rec committee, and just this week got alignment on the end of last week on making some changes to sports rules. And just for clarity, what happened when we updated these the last time, whether it was just cut and paste or lack of attention, the pickleball rules ended up being the exact same as the tennis rules. No, it's never. And so there are some fundamental differences on how we handle them. So what I will do is just take you through there are 4 changes to the existing rules that, and there's one subtle change to tennis rules. Okay. So on the pickle rules, this largely centers around teams, practices and matches. Okay. And for the record, we have 6 pickleball teams, and I think we have 6 tennis teams in the winter. The participation rate is quite high. We've got about 90 people involved in teams at this point. So it's with roll rules. Number 1, we define prime time as 8 to 12:30. That doesn't change. The second one was, and this was the important one, we originally, and mimicking tennis, team practices may not be scheduled by the sports center. For the past 2 years, Catherine and the sports courts did both courts for teams off hours. And those are predetermined so that the team don't have to go in every week and schedule those times. And the criteria for that is basically outside of prime time, which is 8 to 12:30. Okay, so the change in the wording is it just going from team practices will not be scheduled by sports center to team practices may be scheduled by sports center. And again, we will still not do it on tennis. It has not been a request by the captains, and there have been issues in the past. Pickleball, it's been that way for the last 2 years without any incident. And that's why we didn't want to pull that back from the pickleball teams. So that's one of the changes. As far as those reservations go, then we're defining it. The court reservations must be requested by the team captains. Include to the I say captains because some teams have to sports court staff. There's a rule that says, pickleball courts are required to have at least 1 quarry owner present in each court. That's been an issue on tennis courts. It's never been an issue on pickleball courts. I think of all the teams, I think there might be 1 or 2 outside players. That's it.
Excuse me, I'm back to different. To just what you just said. I was out there watching the team play. This was last week. There was only 2 people on our side and all the other coaches.
Are you talking tennis or pickleball?
I'm talking about tennis. You were talking about.
I'm talking pickleball, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and just for clarity for everybody's benefit, in tennis, we have a lot of outside people on the 4-0 and above team because we just don't have enough players here. And those teams can actually be more, and this is all written up in the rules, percentages that we allow. There are a lot of outside players because we only have 2 or 3 4-0 level tennis players. And that's why there's a fundamental difference between tennis and pickleball. Of the 6 pickleball teams, I only know of 1 person that's an outside player, which is on the men's 4-0 team, where we just need some extra players and we bring 1 in for that. So yes, so that is something we watch closely. Like I said, it's never been an issue. And the key there is we don't want 1 or 2 worried people taking 3 courts with 10 guests. That's what we're trying to avoid. And that rule will stay for tennis. But for pickleball, what we're saying, well, we have the same rule in pickleball. What I'm saying is it just never comes up. I want to be clear. Okay.
So what's the rule for pickleball again?
It's the same rule. Pickleball courts are required to have at least 1 quarry owner present on each court for each reservation. Okay. Next rule is guests will not be allowed if the owner is not present. That's kind of in conjunction with the rule before it. And the last one, and this applies to both tennis and pickleball. It read the sport professional may make changes to this policy. All they did was add the recreation committee and or the sports professional. And that's important because our tennis pro group doesn't really manage the pickleball courts at all. He's strictly a tennis pro. So all we're saying is the rec committee or the sports professional may make changes to the policy. And then finally, with regards to matches, and again, this applies to pickleball and not tennis. Although although I don't know that it doesn't apply to tennis. If it does, I'll be willing to change it. We always schedule matches at 12:30 or later, so we're not taking courts in prime time. What we do know is we have so many teams in the same leagues that our schedules overlap too much. So this year, we know now on Wednesdays, we have 3 teams all vying for a 1 o'clock slot. We work it so that there's 1 team home, 1 team away, but we have a third team we have to accommodate. So when we need to have 2 matches on the same day, those matches will actually be start at 11 o'clock. So that does encroach on the normal reservation system for 1 day a week while we have team play. Again, we've done this in the past on both tennis and pickleball. We only do it when there's a conflict and there's really no other alternatives to doing it. And this year, for example, the women's teams that we have 3 playing at the same time, we've gone through the calendars to make sure that, for example, there's a day that 3 teams were scheduled to all be home. And we changed that to make sure we will flip-flop a home and away for them. And then we'll make it so that there's never more than 2 teams home and there's always 1 team away. So it's getting those matches. So those are the recommended changes to the sports courts, tennis and pickleball league policies. And these are league policies because they'll send around sanctioned teams.
Do we charge visitors if they are on the?
Yes, yes, we do.
Okay,
And the policy now is we actually bill that to the captain and right to their account, and the captain's required to collect it from the visitors.
okay. And question is really off topic for this, but sort of topic. Seems like you are, and the group is having to manage a lot. Are we missing a sports court leader versus a separate tennis pro? Is this, I want to say a mistake, but is there a better way to run this than we're running it today? With,
I'll give my opinion. I'll let Scott pipe in because this has been a discussion. This is very much a discussion. Elliot was a sports courts director and oversaw bocce, tennis, and pickleball. Reality was he was 90 to 95% tennis.
absolutely.
And very little tennis or pickleball or bocce.
Yep.
When we replaced him with Philippe, Philippe is a tennis pro, not a sports court director.
Yep.
And as such, makes significantly less money than the sports courts director. And all I'll say is there's very little that goes on with bocce, to be honest. With pickleball, we've got some great ambassadors who just jump in and fill the gaps. So, Denise Haller is the committee chair for the Recreation Committee. Ronnie Rosenblatt gives countless time to just as an ambassador. And quite frankly, everything that goes on through these rules always goes through Ronnie because she's probably the most present person when it comes to just knowing and understanding what people are thinking and getting us that feedback. So ideally, that would be the case. Quite frankly, I don't know if it's financially justifiable, at least not right now.
Okay,
Maybe over time, it changes.
all right, thank you.
I agree. So there should probably be a motion that is made by someone.
Okay.
Go, Tom.
So I'll make a motion, and again, I apologize for this not being written up, and I'll share this with anybody who wants to see it, but to amend the sports courts, tennis and pickleball league team policies as noted in compensation.
We have a second?
John,
John makes a second. Further discussion on these? Seeing no further discussion, all those in favor? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you, Tom, for leading that discussion. Yep, I'll type these up.
just for clarification, John, do they sit on top or underneath the actual sports courts rules and regs? Is just correct?
No, these
That the scheduling there was really just for teams.
Right.
Yes.
So it sits below the rest of our rules and regs within the.
I wouldn't say it sits below because some of this actually overrides.
they're all one.
Yeah.
One document.
It's
Right.
one,
One doc.
it's one document.
Okay.
All right. Again, thank you for everyone coming today to hear about the landscaping survey results. Assume that's why everyone's here. All right. I'm going to give you the abbreviated version. So what we've done is we've done 3 landscaping surveys, one in the fall of 24, spring of 25, most recently the fall of 20, I'm sorry, spring of 25, fall of 25. It's great. We're starting to get this data to see how we compare. All of these slides are included in your packet. I am actually going to skip over all of these slides and really just go to the summary because it's a lot easier just to look how we summarize and things like that. And that's really in the interest of time, but one of the ways that we do calculate the scores is keep in mind most of these are on, satisfied. What were the other ones? I'm trying to think now. Renee, help me out. Yeah, it's 1 through 5, essentially. 5 being the best, 1 being the least. What we did is we eliminated all of the neutral. So 3 we took out. We took the lower 2 1s and 2s, how many of that was, we subtracted them from the 4 and 5s. And we essentially came up with a net promoter score is what we came up with. That's how the scores are determined. One of the things that as we look and summarize across the combined fall of 24, spring of 25, and fall of 25 landscaping surveys, really the story is clear improvement and growing owner confidence, especially as compared to the fall of 24 baseline, being the first year that we did it. Virtually every measured area shows upward trajectory over the 3-year survey period or 3 survey periods. Most significant gains in single-family home services and vendor responsiveness. By fall of 25, many categories that began in neutral or even negative territory in fall of 24 have moved into solid positive ranges, including owner noticing and appreciating the changes made over the past year. So that's what we're looking for, is making sure that we see steady progress and growth. Common area landscaping, satisfaction with mowing common areas has climbed from roughly mid-60s when we started to the mid-80s by the just in November when we took the survey. Beach club landscaping has risen from the high 60s to the low 80s, which is great. And weeding and string trimming, edging common areas went from low 50s, and now we're in the low to mid 60s and mid 70s respectively in the last survey. Replacement of original common area landscaping, while still more moderate, has moved to the mid 30s and high 40s, suggesting owners are beginning to see the targeted upgrades and replacements where needed. Single family homes, for those 581 homes that we do maintain, fall of 24 satisfaction scores for tasks like trimming, edging, pruning, we're near 0 or even negative when we subtracted out those negative numbers. In the fall, we saw general mowing of single family homes has climbed the mid 40s into the mid 70s, which is a great improvement. Trimming and edging, pruning have moved into the 20 to 50 range. Truly trimming, edging, and pruning has been certainly a focus. Weeding as well, shifted from negative to a positive. Again, I think those 2 items, trimming and weeding, are really where we need to focus our efforts. Net dissatisfaction with vision's response time and repair effectiveness have moved from negative into positive to the mid-20s. Our goal is to get that up to the 40s and 50s in the next survey. That's certainly one of our goals. These results confirm the owners recognize substantial improvement, even though home level services still lag behind the strongest common area categories. Takeaways from the survey. The surveys reinforce the owners' view landscaping as a continuing strategic priority and highlight where further focus is needed. As an aside, it is truly one of our single largest budget items when we look at that contract. Across all 3 surveys, a majority of respondents consistently indicate that improvements to both common areas and single-family home landscapings should be and continue to be a high priority for community resources. Irrigation and watering systems, while showing the most improvement from very low single digits to low 30s in the fall, remain among the lowest rated areas. I think the landscaping committee is aware of this and certainly focused on providing resources to fix and maintain the irrigation system, as we've seen that budget probably double in the last 3 years. Is that correct, Jerry?
Irrigation, yes.
Yeah. Overall, the 3 survey analysis shows us a recent investment and operational changes are working. That's with the new superintendent, Bobby, coming on board. But also we understand single family home services, irrigation performance, and ongoing replacement of aging landscape still has to be a priority. So I went through that really quick. It's all right there and sort of, as I say, in black and white or orange and green in this case. Any questions on that? Or Renee, would you like to add some color to it?
Yeah, the one thing I'd like to add is we presented the survey results to Vision last Tuesday morning, and we've given them 2 weeks to come back to us. And after they review it and give us an actual action plan for what they're planning on doing to bring some of these numbers up in the areas that still need work on. So they've been tasked with doing that. So hopefully by next Tuesday, we'll have their response to that.
Thank you. Other comments?
I don't know if this is a question for Scott or Renee, but when it comes to the common area landscaping, I've noticed that I don't know if they're called end caps in the median where the annuals are planted, they're not quite as robust in their either abundance or color than they have been in the past. And I'm wondering if anybody could speak to that.
The interesting thing is, basically we mimicked what we planted last fall, the same exact plants. However, one of them, the what are they called? Daisies? The yellow ones, there was a grower problem, and that brings in that brightness that you're probably missing. But there was a crop failure, so we had a problem getting them, so we had to substitute. So that may be a little bit of what you're not seeing right now, but the quantity, generally speaking, is pretty much the same.
Exactly the same.
hmm So that might be what you're not seeing. And it's nothing that we could have done because it was a pure crop failure. Actually, they searched throughout Florida, and it was throughout Florida. So that was that one flower we couldn't get.
All right, move on to the general manager's report, the balance. Just really want to highlight some things going on in December. I know the people in the audience and those online are people who certainly support the beach club, but coming up on Thursday, we have the Jingle and Mingle and tree lighting. We have Santa photos coming up on Sunday. That's with your pets if you'd like at the tennis area, or with children, or with families. That's on Sunday. We have the Rhone wine dinner, bingo coming up on the 17th. Typically that December bingo ends up attracting like 100+ people. So definitely get there early for that one. Hanukkah dinner is on the 20th. Family movie night is on the 23rd. That's going to be a lot of fun. Lauren's got it set up on the lawn. We will not have golf carts on the lawn as perhaps we have in the past. So bring, chairs. We'll have chairs set up and things like that. But we have a pool party after Christmas and DJ just for hanging out around the pool. And of course, our New Year's Eve boogie into New Year's. I think right now we have about 200 people signed up for that. So sign-up's coming along really nice. Any questions about the event? Next one I have, this is approval to engage a civil engineer for land use determinations. We are looking for approximately $3,900 for the board to approve that wasn't budgeted this year to review some parcels of land, really just more slivers of land that are on the north side and some other parcels that we're considering possibly doing something with or giving to the CDD. So I'd ask for a motion from the board to approve that $3,900 expense. We have a motion. Do we have a second? We have a second. Is there discussion on this?
Again, where those parcels of land.
Sure. The question is parcels of land to be considered. So for instance, if you know the golf course along 10 and 11, the very northern side of the property where the preserve meets our property, there's a strip of about 22 feet that runs from the halfway house all the way to the end of the 11th hole, kind of right behind the green there. And it's 22 feet wide, runs all the way along. And right now the CDD fence actually is on our property that they maintain. And so the question becomes, CDDs aren't supposed to, or traditionally aren't supposed to maintain something on private property. So what we want to know before I approach the board and say, hey, we should give this property to the CDD, let's find out from a civil engineer who's, understands what land use is about. Let's understand what the options are for parcels of land like this. So when the property was turned over, there's a number of little strip parcels, if you will. I think this one adds up to like 0.8 acres or something. And I'm, to the life of me, I can't figure out what it'd be used for, but I want, before I ask the board to consider giving that to the CDD so they can maintain the fence on there, which I want no interest in maintaining.
So Scott, you're using Michael Herrera?
Mike
Or-
Herrera has recommended a wetlands engineer.
Yeah, these guys did all the work when we were doing the project, so they were involved in obtaining the land on the south side of Kayak, the 3/4 of an acre that belonged to the CDD out front that gave us our bocce courts and that. So the people involved in this and the concept, we've been through before, and there's a lot of just cleanup that needs to be done, I think. Yeah.
That was my question for you. Because I know there was a lot of work done on it at the initial stages of the project, and the only thing I want to make sure is we're not duplicating anything, that this is in addition.
Yeah, our focus was simply parcels that affected the project. We did not look further. We had enough to do.
Further discussion on this?
Part of a broader potential land swap. Am I correct?
Right now, we're not sure.
We're not sure. Okay.
I think this is all just finding out what options you have as a board,
Right.
or so that you have information.
Someone please remind me again who made the motion and who seconded it.
Yeah, I think Renee.
Okay, I apologize.
John,
Okay.
second.
Perfect. Thank you.
Any other board comments? Before we get to board comments, Dr. Schobeck, do you have a comment?
Hey, I've got this pain, doctor. Could you?
One of the prohibitions included in the proposed proxies, I didn't say that right. The proposed proxy, one of them includes a prohibition for swapping, trading, selling, disposing of quarry land without a 75% vote of all voting interests, which is extremely high test. So if that, let's say that the process would result in our giving that to the quarry CDD, it would take a very substantial vote. So there's two things: either strike that proxy or lower the threshold of approval.
Can we lower the threshold of approval? Because that
Doesn't exist at present. This is something new to be added to the CCNRs.
So yeah, okay, but by nature that it's being added to the CCNRs, doesn't that define what vote we need?
Yes, an
Okay.
extremely high vote.
Right.
Yes. But I just wanted you to be aware that it's a level of approval that is difficult to achieve deliberately, so that,
Percent of 98 doors.
yes,
No, I understand that, but you said possibly change it to a lower threshold.
that is.
Do we even have that as an option?
It's up to you, because the proxy has not yet been finalized and presented to the voters.
That's what I'm not understanding. I would have thought, but
It
it
doesn't.
wouldn't matter what the proxy is if we're changing the CCNRs.
The proxy defines what the change is, which includes the percentage to be achieved.
So maybe, Tom, the question that you're thinking about is, where did this come from? How did this?
It was the absence of a prohibition that prompted the thought that there should be a prohibition, so
Yeah.
that a uninformed future board could not decide to sell off the parcel to Heritage Bay that's
Right.
at the corner of Siesta and Quarry, because they'd like to have it and we'd like the money.
Okay.
So if
There are
that-
two subjects. I was really asking about the vote, which is really secondary to do we want to do it? Okay. And certainly what the vote is an important criteria of how easy it will be to pass it. I would think if you're adding something to a CCNR, What you're saying is anything you add into the CCNRs is a 75% of all interests?
Not anything, this specific issue of selling quarry land or transferring it.
And we're right, okay, and this is where I think I'm getting it now. That's the way we're writing the proxy to require that.
Yes.
And we could change how we write the proxy
Yes.
to be, okay, that's step one. Got that now. Step two, when we talked about this originally, it made all the sense in the world. And what I said to Tom is it's something that we'll review as a board and agree on before we ever put it out there. I didn't connect dots to conversations like this, which is land swaps. So I think in the next month, as we look at this as a proposal, which makes a lot of sense, we don't think the board should unilaterally be able to just sell off property. Makes all the sense in the world. We don't want that much authority. By the same token, I think we do want to be able to do a simple land swap between us and the CDD and whatnot. So I think this, and the golf course, correct. So, and the golf course I think is a little bit different because that's a private entity with membership versus the QCA and the QCDD are really the exact same entity, all paying taxes one pathway or another, assessments versus tax. But I think that's a really valuable point that we talk about in the next month as we go through this. What's the best way to write this up to give the board the proper latitude to do simple, straightforward swaps that make sense and not allow the board to go rogue and start selling off stuff for other reasons.
Although Scott's definition of this strip, what I heard was giving it to the QCD, which is not a swap.
Well, and that was what I kind of turned and asked them, are we talking about swaps or not? And we said, well, we'll figure that out. But I think we have to take that
To be determined.
to be determined. I think we have to take all that into account before we write the proxy, so we know what we're signing up for when we write the proxy.
It's like you're talking about the 75%. Would it be the traditional 67% of those who vote?
We could set it then.
It's always going to take 67% to pass the 75% threshold.
Okay, but
If it's not a CCNR change, it's a 50% plus one. But then that would not be a proxy. That's something you have the right to do today. 50% plus one, you can make a decision. Anyway, I wanted you to be aware that.
Yeah, we have to talk.
Yeah, I
about
think
this.
yeah, it is important. And I
Yeah.
think that's, as we go through this and we have the small group discussions over these, let's just make sure we all think through.
Right.
It's really one of those things, it's unintended consequences we want to be really careful about.
I mean, some of it is not just giving, it's also giving the liability and cost
Sure.
to where it belongs. So it's, although we're giving up a strip of land we don't use,
Right.
we're saving potentially long-term us some money.
Correct. But what
And there's-
Tom and I originally discussed and how this proxy was being written would have prohibited us from even doing. Yeah. So that's,
Doing the right thing.
we're doing the right thing. And we don't want that to be an unintended consequence of trying to stop something else from happening.
And one last thing, and that is that time is of the essence, given the fact that the first notice of annual meeting is going out soon, and the second notice will be going out. Or help me out. Yeah, and so if it takes a board meeting to decide, there's a pinch of time for you to think about.
Yeah. Okay, good. Thank you, Tom.
May I add this?
Yes, sir. I'd ask you to step to the microphone, identify yourself, please. Even though we all know you.
Hiring an engineer to come and do the assessment as to what we can do. We got plenty of civil engineers that are in this community. It's hired, they have plenty of vision as to they can see what can be done with that piece of land. Probably used, if it is all scattered all over the place, basically nothing can be done. So you really don't need a civil engineer to come and tell you what can I do with this land. And if you go ask him, the first thing he's gonna do is find an average determine what this land is good for. He's gonna ask you to do some core borings. Okay, so let's not waste any time, in my opinion. even though it's only $3,900 that you're talking about. Again, it's a drop in the bucket. That's all.
I think my only reaction to that is unless we have someone who's an expert in this space of wetlands and preserve space, I wouldn't want to use someone local. I mean, I think it helps insulate us to get an expert third opinion. And just again, for people's clarity, we're talking about probably 3 feet of width for a quarter mile that there's a fence sitting on. It's just odd. It goes golf course, we own a strip of land, and then CDD. And it happens to be a fence the CDD is maintaining our. So we can't envision anything wrong with just doing this. This is really to cover our butts, to be honest. And again, if we had somebody who was an expert in Southwest Florida wetlands and preserves, I would tap into that resource, but I don't know of any, and therefore this is probably a good, safe insurance policy to go out and get an expert opinion. Am I characterizing that correctly, Scott?
Yes, sir.
But I think it's even more than that, because what we found out is there's so many designations of how these lands, borough pit, they,
Right.
they have 10 or 12, and we don't really understand what the use is until we get that determined by the civil engineer. So
Right.
we do need a civil engineer to look at this and tell us what they are and what we can do with them.
Should be independent.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Yep.
Hearing no further discussion, all those in favor of the expenditure? That passed unanimously. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
And thank you for the input from the audience as well. I do appreciate that. Next, we have the committee initiatives and updates. We're going to start with finance, insurance, and compensation to the gentleman to my right.
Yeah, not much to report on those three committees. The Finance Committee, after the budget was all settled, took a break, and we won't meet again till after the new year. We'll have a meeting in January. The insurance, we're in the low period. That'll start heating up probably the first week of January. I don't know if he indicated he'd give us anything sooner than the new year. And the same thing with the Compensation Committee. So we're all on a mini vacation right now in terms of those three committees.
Thank you, Jerry. Jody, modifications.
This meeting is Thursday morning of this week at 8 a.m.
Great.
It's open to all residents of the community.
And Jody, have modifications been slowing down, or are they still pretty busy?
Mark's probably can speak to that better. I think probably this month it might be slow just because people have gone home for the holidays. A lot of people left before Thanksgiving and won't be back until early January. There was a big influx as soon as people came back to get some things done. So I would expect that come January, you're going to see a lot of that. Because a lot of times folks just want to be there when the work is being done, depending on what's being done. Other times they want to get out of town.
Well, I know it's great work by you and Mark and the committee. I always look forward to that year-end number of how many approvals that you did over the course of the year. So I think last year, wasn't it like 250 or 300 or something like that? It's a lot. Next, we have Mark with strategic planning.
We had our first meeting and we agreed that we'd like to conduct a very complete survey. So Scott is looking at 3 different survey outfits, and our next meeting he's going to report back to us. So we're going to pick one. We wanted to have a really outside professional survey because this is looking at the future of the community and what we want to be and everyone's needs and wants. And we didn't want to do that with SurveyMonkey. Following that, we're going to be working on developing a vision for the community.
And Mark, you want to, sorry.
I have a question for you, Mark. As you know, in 2019, we did an exhaustive survey that was the combination of both the golf club and the QCA. And I would suggest and encourage that the committee review it. I believe they have spent some time on that, but to use as many of the same questions as you can so that we could see what has changed in the 6 years since we did that survey. It's always good, just like Scott is presented with the landscaping, to see, are we making progress in those areas or what has changed? So I would exclude the golf club portion that, our arm was a little twisted because we we're using the same consultant as the golf course, and he insisted on combining the two pieces of the survey, but that's not the case now. So while it was very extensive, a lot could be eliminated that related to the golf course only, and there should be a lot of good stuff in there.
Excellent suggestion. Thank you.
The only question I have is, following that survey in 2019, we actually developed a vision for the community, both a mission statement and a vision statement. And I'm just wondering why there's a need to, I guess, redo the vision statement when I thought that was a long-term vision.
Well, I have to be honest, I haven't seen that vision statement. And I don't believe the committee has. So,
We've got it.
okay,
We just did the project.
okay.
Get it for you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Easy.
All right, next, Mark, if you'd like to go into lakes.
The lake, well, yesterday, the Lake Committee was part of the joint meeting between the QCA and QCDD, and a lot of the focus was about how we're going to be able to work more successfully together to do a better job of weed control, because weed control has been such an issue for the community. So we're going to develop some specifications and continue to meet with the CDD, and hopefully this will lead to more satisfactory weed control within the community.
Great, thank you, Mark. Renee, would you like to do eco and landscaping?
Thank you. First of all, I'd like to thank both of these committees for all their hard work. They do a lot of great stuff, and I'd be remiss in not mentioning that first. In reference to the Eco Committee, they have a lot of good things planned, but the one thing I want to mention that is coming up first is we're having a electronic recycling day on January 14th. Things like computer accessories, cameras, keyboards, laptops, tablets, Bluetooth devices, small kitchen appliance, no TVs, unfortunately. And also I believe they got together with the Lions Club, and they will also be collecting eyeglasses and sunglasses and to give to the Lions Club as another recycling effort there. So we hope you'll support that. And if you have any of these items sitting around your house, you have a place that you can bring them to. They also asked that I do remind everybody that in your recycling bins, that no plastic bags should be going in the recycling bins. So when you're taking your stuff out of the kitchen, please remove the plastic bag and don't put any plastic bags from the grocery store or what have you in the recycling bins, because what happens is they gum up the sorters at the recycling center, and it creates quite a problem. If you look at the stickers, if you have one on your bin, it should indicate that as well. So they just wanted to remind you on that.
You can bring them to Walmart.
Yeah, Publix has bins
Yeah,
too.
and Publix too.
But a lot of times that they're saying that they're finding that they'll see recycling bins out there that have all the recycling in a plastic bag that's placed in the garbage pail. So if you could empty that bag and not put that in, that would help out the efforts for the environment. As far as our landscaping committee.
Can I ask a quick question about
Sure.
them? Do we have an annual collection of like paint or other chemicals in the community? Maybe I've missed it in the past.
Yeah, we have done that in the past. I'm not sure if they have one scheduled at this point.
Okay.
I know we're going to have battery collection. That's going to be a separate day. We can find about the paint. They've done it in the past, so we just have to check into that.
Thank
I know there were some problems with the transportation of those things, so I'd have to just verify that.
Williams take back paint?
I do not know.
Do they?
I can tell you, I just cleaned out the garage and took a bunch of paint, but the county has the recycling centers, and that's the place to take them, and the electronics and that, short of, if you want to get rid of something right away, and there's one just out by the fairgrounds.
Right.
So it's not
Okay.
far.
Okay, moving on to landscaping. One of the things that they asked me to mention is, even though our numbers are improving in some of the common areas and the projects that we've done, it's been a real struggle this past year because our irrigation just blew our project budget. But they wanted me to express our thanks to all the people that did donate different plants from their own property. It allowed us to get some projects done, which was very, very helpful. So thank you for all the donations, and we'll gladly accept any more. The landscaping committee, I'm not sure if you're aware of this. They each individual has a zone within the quarry that they inspect on a monthly basis, and it's all in reference to common areas. And with their dedication and getting and reviewing all those areas, the landscaping committee themselves have already keyed in 170 work orders to Vision to get little projects done or things that they've seen, something's died, what have you. So they're all over it and doing it on a monthly basis. So we wanted to make sure that you were aware that they've been doing this. As far as sugarcane mosaic virus, I just want to let you know that the 2 installations that we've done have worked out very, very well. They look really great, and the first one didn't work out so well, but we've improved the whole process. So that we're very, very happy with, and looking forward to in this coming year, the landscaping committee will be assessing the different areas that have sugarcane mosaic virus and prioritizing which ones we will be replacing based on what was budgeted for this up and coming year. So that'll probably be taking place in the next 2 months, I would say, that they'll be doing that evaluation. Mm-hmm,
Of lawns that you've done,
Mhm.
you replaced the 2.
mm-hmm.
Bless you.
What was the cost of those lawns?
The cost in its entirety, I don't know. I don't know, because one was just a small section of a median here, right on Weatherstone, and one was just a front lawn on Nickel Ridge. I don't recall. Do you recall off the top of that? No, I don't recall the exact pricing. But what we did is when we looked at the potential, we estimated, I think it was about 6,000 square feet per homeowner. I mean, some are going to be more, some are going to be less. So we backed into the budget in looking at square footage time multiplied by the price that we were given. And with a little bit of a grace on that, just in case the supply and demand causes the price to go up.
Renee, address the timing, because I think we mentioned 1 to 2 months. Is that when we expect to see the sugarcane mosaic virus sort of show itself again? Because a lot of people reported improvement during the summer months, which we expected.
Right.
expected.
Mhm.
So is that the timing that we'll really know what we're looking for?
So it all depends on the weather. It's the cold the cold that brings it around. So when we're consistently under 60 degrees, that's when it's going to start becoming more and more visible. So, we anticipate that by January we should have a very good idea of where we're at. But it's the cold that brings it forward. So
I thought it was cold and sun, but it's cold.
it's cold.
So if
It's
you go out tomorrow morning and your grass is dead, don't lay down in it.
Freak out.
Yeah, it has. So, I mean, if we have a warm,
We'll
few-
get cold. in
we're going to get
January.
cold eventually. So, but by January, we should have a very good idea of where we're hardest hit
Thank
and
you.
where our biggest problems are.
Thank you for the question.
Mm-hmm. Any other questions?
Great.
Okay.
Thank you, Renee. Next, we have Pam in charge of our asset management.
Asset management. That committee is chaired by Linda Lepore. Our next meeting is December 15th. However, between meetings, all the members of the committee are assigned various projects in and around the Beach Club campus. And we work very closely with Scott, Eddie, and the team in identifying these projects. And kudos again, I know I said it last meeting, but to Scott, Eddie, and the team for actually prioritizing these projects and getting them done.
Great. Thank you, Pam. Next, we have Tom Heaslip on recreation.
Fitness center is doing awesome. Lisa's a rock star, probably our most complimented employee. Things going well there. Attendance is picking up very quickly. Bocce leagues, if people didn't see it, the email went out for joining a bocce league. It's probably the most popular event that we go through with a couple hundred people on Wednesday and Thursday nights. So if you're interested, they say couples golf. I think sometimes it's not always couples, but look for that. It just came out in the last day or two. Kudos on Scott. We got the path from the pickleball courts down to the pavilion finally done. I've received 3 compliments on that already. That path is installed with a ramp now, so that's a good safety feature, and people are happy that we're getting shade and lights as part of next year's budget. Tennis courts, I think the rework we did at the beginning of the season's working. I personally haven't heard any complaints about conditions of tennis courts. Everything seems good. We had a little bit of a rocky summer, but that's to be expected in the summer, but that seems to be fixed. I mentioned earlier about the teams. We've got 6 tennis teams, 6 pickleball teams, each one. We got about 150 people total involved in the tennis and pickleball teams, which I think is phenomenal. It's a strong percentage of the community that participates in those things. And just keep your eyes out for social. Tennis socials are coming out one by one. You'll see those. And this year, we're really stepping up socials on pickleball. Keep your eyes out for them because we got some really good ideas. Basically, a monthly there'll be something monthly with like a evening social, which was one of the requests we have was for more evening activities for people that are working or already booked during the day, as well as then some one-offs. We got some residents who are just volunteering to run some social events as well. So things going well.
Great. Thank you, Tom. John with the Ownership Experience Committee.
Thanks. This committee is doing double duty, and I want to thank them for it because not only do we meet as a committee, we've broken into subcommittees because there's so much work to be done. So I'm going to give you the breakdown today of what the different subs are doing, recognizing that the bigger committee does get together and talk it through and make recommendations to the subs. Access control, we met a little over a week ago. We're really looking at the barrier around our community to make sure it's good. And we think at 12 years old, you couldn't stop a 12-foot fence for me to be able to get over. A 6-foot fence is ridiculous to think, but a big, thick hedge is actually a pretty good deterrent. So we think this is a good deterrent. We're going to make sure we take a hard look and improve it, working with Renee and team to really tighten up the little spots that we've identified around the community. We have been exploring options to improve the rear entry. Again, they're just ideas at this point. We haven't got far enough really to make a recommendation back to the board. We're also exploring options to reduce speeding. We see, and we've got the data to show that we have significant number of speeders within the community going way too fast. We did have a very good meeting with the people at Heritage Bay who have put in a device that actually gives people tickets, but they went from 3,000 violations a month to less than 300 over a year. So it really got everybody to slow down. So we're looking at anything and everything to look at the speeding issue. Coming from a real estate background, I do not love, and I think we found out, we put in speed bumps. They're largely ineffective. People come up to it, they slow down for a second, they speed up. And clearly the police and fire and the people who bring the ambulances in don't want to be slowed down. So we are not considering those kind of options right now. We have continued to discuss enforcement within our gates for our trespassers using the Collier County Sheriffs. We will probably come back to the board and recommend we continue to do that. We have a new owners committee. They have been doing great work looking at what we can do to be welcoming to the new owners. A lot of us moved in together. So it was sort of a party every week and we got together. That's largely changed. They come in and we've already got our little cliques and friends. So they're trying to work on ways to really bring these people in to get them into what they want to do. They've come up with the concept of navigators, which are people within the community that'll be there one-on-one. I was sort of the unofficial first one because we have a very good friend of ours move on oars. and you know what he was looking for. Well, I want to play golf. I want to play pickleball. I want to do, and just connecting the dots for these people. And that's what these navigators will do. Big euchre players. They're, you know, they're Midwesterners. They want to play euchre. So showing them all the options to get in and do these things. So there's a letter going out, I believe, Scott, today.
So through the magic of communication, it will be going out in the next 2 minutes.
2 minutes, perfect. Asking to explain the program and looking for navigators, people that want to volunteer and be part of that. We've had several fiber meetings. For all of you that don't know and don't really care, it's an expense that we all have, and it's expensive what we're paying. And as we surveyed more and more people and talked to more and people, we see that there's bills 250, 280, $300 for it. And so we spent a lot of time sort of learning the landscape, talking to subject matter experts. And what we've learned is there's a way better way to do it. It's with fiber. It's a much more reliable system. It's buried in the ground with conduit. It's what we used to call it a sonnet ring, but they actually bring it in from 2 points, not 1 point, into the community. So if we get chopped on X, we could continue to still have our internet. We've been working on an RFP the last 2-ish weeks to send out to multiple vendors to actually get some basic costs, but early indications are it is a substantial savings over what you have today. We are somewhat, it's challenging how we're going to have to do this. That's why we have to get this RFP. We're still under a bulk agreement with Comcast, I think to 29.
Yes.
So, but there's ways that we could let you guys decide and leave us out at first. So we're looking at that. We're exploring it with the attorney too. So look for an update probably first quarter next year on fiber. The last,
Just ask you a quick question. How about, is there anything we could do about cell phone coverage?
yes, as part of that. That's
It's part of that as well?
Oh, yeah.
Good.
We're talking about. Yep. Yep. Some of them have indicated there's a way to improve it. So we'll see. Food and beverage was also sort of the core of what this committee started as. We thought, you know, what we're going to be, and we did have a big play in what Scott and team, we talked about it. They came up with plans. We fed back and forth. So that's been a really good to work with Scott's team on menu and service issues and that. We are continuing to monitor all the results because and we'll call it prime, what was it? Prime rib. What day was it? Friday of last year where we went down the tank. We don't want to have one of those experiences again. We want to make sure that we see little slips that we're talking within the groups and helping Scott with recommendation, his team with recommendations of how to keep it going well. And really, you know, we have good survey tools, but there's also this committee talks to their friends afterwards. They say, well, I didn't get surveyed, but it was pretty bad. Or it was great. We're trying to work with Scott's team to improve it. So that's all I've got.
Great. Thanks, John. Sounds like a very busy committee.
Yes.
All right. With that, we would move on to,
Can I just ask a question, Scott? What is the timing where people could volunteer to join a committee in the coming year?
sure, typically we do that after the annual meeting when any new board positions are filled. And then, so usually about 2 weeks prior to the annual meeting, we'll put out, people could apply. And then typically it takes about another 2 to 3 weeks to select committee chair or liaisons and chairmen. And so it's kind of that time towards the end of February, early March. Yep, good question. Any other comments or questions from the board before we open up for the audience?
I have one.
John?
Landscaping, as we look to it, and we're doing it over at the golf club, part of our redo project is all the irrigation. And I just think, it seems like, is it a strategic initiative? I don't think so. I think really is within Renee's group. But as we keep building this expense pot up, is there a time when we're really going to need to make a significant investment in it? Because what you hear when you hear, well, for all of us that are golf members, long past due to the golf club. And my guess is it's coming up for us too. It's just getting to be a really old system that we're putting a ton of dough into. So where are we?
Sure. So John, it's certainly, number one, it's a reserve item. And the question is, as a reserve item, where does that fall? And that's where I think the professionals have to be involved to counsel us on what's the best path forward. I've been in contact with the engineer who's working with the golf club. So I'm going to have a meeting with him probably in the next 2 to 3 months to say, look, what and how is the path forward? And then present that to the landscaping committee for consideration. And then also, when it comes time to do the reserve study, his recommendations will be factored into, hey, what is the natural life of the underground system? Maybe that reserve for the irrigation gets moved up or gets pushed back, depending on what that recommendation.
But it does exist, Scott, right? And there is a date on there.
There is.
Yeah.
And I want to say,
So enough based on today's standards.
Right.
All of those are good questions. Tom, to answer your question, the irrigation is out into the 2030s.
I thought it was 2031, but I've read this 8 months ago.
Yeah.
It's a fair question. We should take I mean, the reserve study is done by engineers, right? So you trust that they're doing it right, but it probably is a good idea to go back and look at it because John's right. The golf course was a little sooner than expected.
Mhm. And as we see it becoming more and more costly to maintain, it may pay, and that's why we're taking these actions to pull it forward and not wait to 31, to just keep on putting, I don't want to say Band-Aids. I mean, we're repairing it properly, but
Yeah, just so everyone understands, we have two major items in the reserve that make up the bulk of the funds. And that is road maintenance, that's repaving or whatever we have to do for the 17 miles of roads in here, and irrigation system. They're both in the multi-million dollars. The way it worked, it's currently in the reserve study. The road maintenance comes up much sooner, probably 3 or 4 years in advance of the irrigation. So I think we would have to look at both of them. It may be that the timing has to be swapped or something like that, but that's where the big dollars are. And when we talk about looking out for the next 5, 10 years for the community, we need to develop a plan for when those big bucks need to be spent and what's the proper order.
right.
And the point I was going to raise with regards to the golf course, part of the reason it's being moved up is they have to regrass. And so as part of the regrassing, they're saying we should do the irrigation wouldn't be done this soon if they weren't regrassing. They do think they can get another 5 or 7 years out of it, but because they're tearing everything up, they say let's move so there might be more hope for ours, although I think our maintenance costs are trending up faster than the golf course's maintenance costs. So I think that's the reason. Yeah, we do. We absolutely. There's so many more valves and heads and everything else.
They're actually reserved separately from the main irrigation system. I think the first pump is reserved for 29, was it? For replacement? Yeah, so they're separate reserve line items. And we do perform maintenance on them monthly. So, to make sure that yeah, exactly. Exactly.
So talking about roads, I mean, from what I did in my career path, we did spend some time and money on roads. And one of the things is, does this fit into what Mark's doing? Or is it somewhere else within ours or with Scott? Because there are things you can do to move up or postpone a expenditure, move up because you're getting eaten up by, repairs and maintenance, push back because you can do some sort of fix that'll buy you 5 more years. And I think we because these two are our biggest, we should be looking at next year, start planning for it. Now, sounds like Renee and Scott are already working on irrigation, but I don't know that anybody's really thought about roads.
At least with regards to what Mark's, to me, Mark's is a strategic planning ahead. So that's more like, where are the roads? Do we need more roads, or should we be closing roads? But maintenance is something I would think that's completely separately, which would be good to get a little more understanding of that.
Yeah.
Planning.
Yeah, yeah.
Master plan, which is Pam. Are you guys walking the roads and filling potholes? Is that?
Yes. We do have a couple of members on the team that
Okay, great.
are qualified in that area, yes.
Right. Just so you know, John, were you here, Scott? There was a study done on the roads. It's a binder about this thick
Yeah, I did that.
with all the options for the way we may approach the roads. It was a little premature, but it was good to have. So I will gladly pass off that book to you, Pam, if you'd
Sure.
like.
Too.
Nice.
And I'm sure, I'm sure your sleep patterns will improve after taking a look at it. But in any event, there had been some work done a number of years ago, probably right after you got here, 4 years ago. Yeah.
Yeah, school.
Any questions online?
No. Mark, any questions online for us? One, all right.
Regarding, how's the Beach Club restaurant and Q Bar Sunday opening going?
So the question was, how is the Sunday opening of the Q Bar restaurant going? I would suggest it's pretty much in line with what we had last year and what we expected.
Okay.
Great. Other further questions? Hearing none.
Hearing none?
None. It's 5:13. Make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Jerry seconds. Any discussion on that motion?
No.
Hearing no discussion, all those in favor. Thank you everyone for
Thank
attending.
you.
Judy, can I ask a
Joe.
question? Somebody told me that Florida passed a law that anybody can bring a
Vibration.